everyone, it's Sylvia Michetti on Luminosity TV. Today I'm just going to follow on from last Sunday's conversation where I talked about the idea that many people believe that they are just here to continue in that cycle of trying to work hard and earn a decent income and possibly acquire as much earthly stuff as they can so that at least they can leave their children some inheritance. Whilst all of these seem like a decent thing to do, we often spend most of our lives just chasing that need ahead of anything else that's more important in our lives. Our spirituality, for one. It's funny because many people have this idea that when you talk about spirituality, then you have to be someone who isn't prepared to enjoy all the good things in life. In fact, you should look a certain, they expect you to look a certain way, like a guru, like with long beards and a monk or somewhere in Tibet, or they expect you to be meditating every half hour. It's a misconception that you can't be yourself and you need to be either rigid or take extreme measures to find your spirituality. That is not true. In fact, that is quite the opposite. Because finding a balance between your physical life and your spiritual life is key. Many people wonder whether they need to part with their earthly possessions in order to pursue their spiritual life. Seriously, you'd be a fool to do that. You have bills to pay. You have, needs that you need to pay for whilst you're still on earth. But if the pursuit of this earthly wealth then becomes your all and all, and you think that that's the only goal that there is in life, and that's your main purpose, to be rich and to acquire stuff to the detriment of your spiritual life, then you are being a bigger fool. Because whilst you're wasting all of this time, these things that you're trying to acquire are things that we will leave behind. If you don't know how to multitask, this is the time to learn. You must find a balance between your earthly needs and your spiritual needs. Everything is borrowed but for a short time, a short while, except your spirit, which at some point the cycle must come to a close and you will need to move on away from here. My car used to belong to someone else, and it will be handed to someone else once I'm done with it. The home I live in belonged to someone else many years ago. And in less than 40 years, maybe, if I'm lucky, maybe 30 years, it would probably belong to someone else. Even if I'm passing it on to my kids, that is someone else who's taking over. What is truly yours on this planet, if not your truest self, your spirit? Everything you have is a deliberate gift from your Creator, which you must appreciate and give gratitude for. However, vanity, oppression of your fellow human being, and excessiveness with your wealth will only become a burden for you if you're putting it to wrong use, and if you think that that's what makes you who you are. Remember that commandment, thou shalt not have any other creator but me. If the acquisition of earthly stuff is all that you worship, then you are creating idols rather than having the one Almighty Father whom you worship. If you use it aright, however, and you understand that it's temporary and it's only borrowed, and that you are just a guest here and you will need to pass it on your way out, and you don't have to be so attached to it, but you can enjoy it. You don't have to be obsessed about it. Then it will bring you joy whilst you're here, and it would benefit not just you, but as many people around you as possible. In fact, it will come to you effortlessly because you seem like the type that will be able to guide it and put it into good use rather than show it off and oppress others with it. That's the difference. The trouble only always arises when, as human beings, we cling to the idea that we must pursue this financial wealth solely as the basis for our existence on earth. And we then lay so much emphasis on it, so that time then passes, and then it's time to check out. And then we've achieved nothing. Not the vibrant spiritual life that we are supposed to have, and not the billions either. Because we've created so much importance around the idea of making money that we forget that we will one day leave it all behind. What happens then? How many people do you know that have passed away recently? And we all say to ourselves, wow, it wasn't their time. Their lives were cut short. That's because there's nothing like before your time. You never go before your time. Your time could be right now. It could be tomorrow. It could be next week. If anything, COVID has taught us that we all don't know what time it is. It's taught us that there's one massive cleansing and clearing that can go on anytime. And we are standing in this period where the cycle must close, and it's closing very quickly for many. So all of those earthly pursuits grinds to a halt, to be enjoyed by others. You must work hard. You must earn what you deserve. But you must know that there's more to life than just the pursuit for earthly wealth. You must find what more there is. I always liken this to someone who decides to amputate both their legs, and yet they badly want to take home the most expensive, the shiniest boots that money can buy. How does he propose to wear them when he has no legs? The boots will be useless regardless of how beautiful they are, because it doesn't have the right pair of legs. The right pair of legs are missing to wear them. Your spirit are those legs which you are standing on. Your earthly pursuit and acquisition of all of those things, those are the shiny boots, and they're useless if you haven't got the right legs for them. So how do you stand? Are you standing with your legs firmly on the ground, or have you chopped them off? Whilst all of these earthly gifts are provisions, they're provided for you. They're like provisions, just like when a student is going off to boarding school, and you get all of the things that they're going to need: food items, biscuits, pocket money. All of these provisions are good, but they are not going to help you graduate. You will still need to study and obey the rules of school. Even if you bring a truckload of provisions and you're the richest kid in school, you will not get by until you have learned the rules of school and until you have studied to pass your exams. They are not the basis. Your provisions are not the basis for which you will pass or fail on this earth, nor will they ever determine your spiritual purpose and journey. When you pass away, no one's going to ask you, what was your take-home pay after tax? What are you leaving your children as their inheritance? How many hours a week did you clock in? Did you work late nights, or did you just do your regular 9 to 5? No one's going to ask you that. The question is simple. How do you stand as a human spirit when your physical body and your earthly brain has been put to the ground and you are now stripped bare to the real you? What will be in there? What's left there? Your spirit. How did it fare? So the ability for us to be able to balance that vibrant spiritual life with the knowledge and worship of our Creator, while still enjoying all of those earthly benefits afforded to us through His grace, that can only bring you happiness. Happiness to your mind, your body, and your spirit. But whenever there's a one-sidedness, and neither the spirit nor the body can actually attain full maturity, So no one wins. And you wonder why there's so many unhappy people in the world today. Because there's no balance. So many people wander the earth, always feeling incomplete, but not actually knowing what the problem is, why they feel the way they feel. They desperately want to reach all of their financial goals, and even when they reach it, they still feel like something's missing. Some say to me, well, Sylvia, when I reach my financial goal, I'll let you know how happy I am. I say, yes, I want to be there to share in your joy and in your happiness. But we each have different journeys and different ideas of what happiness really means. And believe it or not, it changes every day. Personal experience, I had almost 200 pairs of expensive shoes. And then one day, I placed my feet on my bare feet on my wet grass in my garden. And I soaked up all of the vibrations of the earth. And I found a new kind of happiness that I can't even describe it to you. No pair of designer shoes has ever given me that. The simplicity of life is unbelievable. And if you placed your feet on my grass, you might not feel a thing. I realized that those shoes were never giving me any joy to start with. They were just stuff I was acquiring. And they had become a propensity over time. They had become a habit just for the fun of it. Not because I needed that many shoes. Again, because society makes you feel that the more stuff you have, then you have arrived. It's a vicious cycle. We need to take our eyes, our real eyes, and look at what's going on. And for some of us, it's a wallet full of cash today, or buying that dream car that we've been dying to have that will bring them happiness. For others, it's finally finding somebody to love, or to just be in the arms of somebody that cares for you. That's their happiness right now. It changes, it flips and it switches as our journeys progress, which is why I always say we must respect each other's journeys and be less judgmental. But we must believe that there's room for growth in the right direction. Earthly wealth will pay bills. Of course it will. It will build schools and it will build churches. It will bring smiles on many sad faces. But earthly happiness of acquiring stuff is not the same as true happiness for your spirit. And that is more important. I can certainly tell you the one thing that money won't buy. It won't buy you that one-way ticket out of here. That one-way ticket to your spiritual home in paradise, which your spirit desperately needs. No private jet can fly you there, no spaceship. So whilst we're here with all of that wealth that we have, or none at all, please find what you will need to buy that one-way ticket. What would you need to do before it's time? Because that is the intended purpose of your spirit, to one day be able to journey back home. Every single day, I'm trying to do good, to secure my ticket, to be the best human being that I can be whilst I'm here. How about you? Until next time on Luminosity TV, I want to gently remind you that there's a little inner voice that we all have that doesn't use words. If we learn to listen to it, and if we just learn to listen to it, many of today's confusion and misconceptions will become clearer to us. I will enjoy every bit of what the world has got to offer, but I will fight to make sure that I no longer let it bind me to my true goal, which is to one day find my spiritual self-consciousness. Want to know the truth? That's the goal of every human spirit, to one day go back home. Many of us are just not waking up to it yet. Until next time, bye